What's up, everybody? Just wanted to join a little early here before we kick this off. Make sure everything is in order. First time I'm using this webinar. So again, same thing like if we did a podcast. If you have any questions, should be able to just enter them into the comments. Love to hear anybody who's here. Just kind of introduce yourself if in the comments. We'll kick this off here in a couple minutes. But again, thank you for joining, the three of you here that are here early. I'm excited to kind of show you the things that we've done and where things are going with it. I think it's a good fit for a lot of contact centers and kind of our ideal customer profile. So again, excited to kind of show you what we're doing and kick this off in a couple minutes. Again, if you have anything to say, you have any questions or anything, throw it in the comments. We can chat it out like an AMA. Give it like 3 minutes, guys, and then we'll kick this off right at the top of the hour. Get right into it, and kind of show you everything that we're doing, and hopefully get some questions and see what you guys think. I always said it's kind of like we've never done kind of a SaaS product. So over this last year, as we've been doing this, it's kind of like it's like homeschooling your kid, right? And then sending them out to the real world. Like it's one thing we think, I think he's got it all, we should be good. But it's another thing when it starts interacting with customers, interacting with people that can kind of view it on their own. So it's been a really worthwhile experience and really cool experience, I think, to kind of see some of the feedback and then the customer feedback and how we continue to improve it. We have a pretty, a relatively small team, which is awesome because we've been able to just move so lightning fast with updates. Literally, it's daily updates that are happening to the platform, and then working on some really cool stuff that hopefully we have done by the end of the year. At least that's the edict I've been giving everybody. So it should be pretty cool. And we will get into that as well, kind of a roadmap of where we see this going, at least in the next 3 months. And then, what this looks like, first quarter, second quarter of next year with some of the things that we are testing now internally in our BPO, making sure that it's ready to roll. And then, we'll send it to you guys and send it to kind of Otto World as well. So kind of excited about that. All right, one more minute and we'll go. Hopefully I don't screw this up. I'll try not. I know we're live. I will try not to screw this up. But again, keep the comments coming. And again, any questions or anything you guys have, hopefully you guys all know me. If you heard any podcasts, if you heard me speak, I can ramble on. So, be really cool to kind of break this up a little bit too, from just me talking. I got my 2 screens here. So we'll try to figure this out. All right, 1:00. This is being recorded, right? So if anyone that is not here, we will have this, and I'm sure I will be posting this. I know it'll be live on LinkedIn right when we're done. But for all of you, just a very quick preamble, like 30 seconds here. AutoQA was created really for our customers. Like I run a contact center outsourcing business, right? We're USA BPO. And when the kind of this new technology came out of ChatGPT, whatever, 15, 16, 17 months ago, we said, what is the low hanging fruit? What can we do for our customers to add value? And, I bring up a lot of weird things to my IT staff. And most of the time I'm like, Tom, we can't do that. Right. Or it'll take us 2 years to do that. But the QA piece was kind of the quote unquote low hanging fruit of where I think everybody kind of galvanized around this idea. So we initially had no plans on creating AutoQA. We planned on creating a tool for our internal customers, right? To add value, right? To lower costs for our BPO customers. And once we saw, oh my gosh, you've heard me talk about this. We had about 12 or 13 QA staff that were just scoring calls. And we have 0 staff right now scoring any calls. Then we still have a QA department. They're still coaching. They're still doing other things. But nobody's kind of doing that tedious process of actually just sitting there and scoring calls. And it's all because of Otto. So let's dive into the platform. And again, if you have any questions, we're live on TikTok, live on Facebook, and live on LinkedIn, and also on X. So if you guys have any questions, please just throw them in the comments. I'll try to see it. I'm trying to do this a little bit differently so I can actually see your comments and I don't have to wait to the end. So let me share this and we'll kind of kick this bad boy off. Okay. All right. And if you see me looking down here, I'm looking at comments, looking at some other stuff, but this is kind of how we start. And kind of here's the quick magic behind this thing. And again, this is all kind of test data. So it's not real client data, but this is kind of our form, right? And this is kind of how we build things out. So if you like your form, you get to keep your form, right? 100% of all the questions we have really been able to answer. The only thing that we stink at, and the technology is not there yet for, is if things are outside of the audio or outside of the transcript, right? Like if I can't look at your Salesforce instance and see if a rep, pulled a drop down and selected something, right? We can't really see the screen yet. That technology is coming, hopefully with maybe even a ChatGPT 5 when we really get the video aspect. But it's got to be a voice, email, chat, SMS, text messages, right? Anything that we can kind of pull in and kind of have AI analyze. But when it comes to the actual form, we do this for you. We build the form out. What we have found over the last 16, 17 months is that about 80% of everybody's form is roughly the same. And about, roughly 20 to 30 to 40% of everybody's form is proprietary to you, right? It is your SOP. It is how you guys operate. It's the things that you need to say. So we have a repository of a ton of different prompts. And again, this is the tip of our prompting iceberg. So don't think like this is all we're doing. Our system prompt is crazy huge. And some of these things that we're doing, we're taking the English piece of this, and then we're kind of turning it into something a little bit more AI able to digest for the different models. We're model agnostic. So whether ChatGPT 12 comes out tomorrow, we can use ChatGPT. We're currently, for the vast majority, I would say 95% of our customers, we're using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I think the model is amazing. It's absolutely perfect for this, and the cost structure works amazingly. It's better for us than anything that ChatGPT has put out so far. That doesn't mean tomorrow ChatGPT 5 could come out and we could go there, but it doesn't matter. We're agnostic to model. So we build out your form, right? We take the exact questions that you have in your form. We take the weighting of the point, right? However you want to weigh a section or you want to weigh an actual a question, we put the point total in. We can do binary questions, meaning yes or no. We can also do rated questions, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 5, 1 through 3, and we can rate those questions. Does it get a little bit more subjective? Yeah, but we found some really, really good ways that we can really tone that in. As long as we have kind of examples to show the model of what each of those are, it does a really good job with that. The other thing is we like to get your call types. Now, again, call types don't have to be perfect, right? But you don't have to have multiple forms for a retention call versus sales call versus somebody calling for customer support. We can have one form. We tell Otto what these different call types mean. Like a gift card, we just say, hey, someone's calling about their gift card. Maybe they want to bounce. A sales call, somebody's looking to purchase something. Like, we give it very basic information. Otto then is able to then pinpoint what the call type is when the call comes in based on what is happening. And we can really tailor each specific call type, right, as it comes in, which then allows us to either answer a question or NA a question based, if a sales call comes in and there's a retention question, Otto will instantly know to NA that, right, because it's not part of that type of call. So we take your form. If you love your form, we're going to build it out exactly how you have it. We're going to tell Otto in our basic prompting here in English kind of what we're looking for based on your rubric. This kind of goes into the background where we kind of, I say AI it, right? And then we have a giant, huge system prompt that we kind of go that talks to the model as well of what we want. Okay. So we have this form. We love the form. We're ready to try calls. We have integrations. I'm going to show you the integrations here in a minute, but let's just show you kind of the manual way that you can do this as well. And when I mean manual, I don't mean one at a time, because you can do up to 100, 200 calls at a time, but it's just kind of a little bit less automatic than an integration. So on our analyze page, you're just going to select an agent that you want to QA, right? We upload all your agents onto the platform, right? We select the form that you wanted. And then again, we talk about interactions. We don't say calls because we can do voice, email, chat, SMS, help desk tickets, anything that you would like, we can analyze and we can score, right? And we're going to select the interaction. So, for the sake of this, let's choose, I don't want to choose all of them. Let's go and select these 4. And then we're going to click the analyze button. So these 4 call recordings right now are going out to DeepGram, which is, we have found to be the best text-to-speech, speech-to-text company. So it's giving your transcript, and you can see the transcript's already done, right? These on average are probably 5 to 6 minute calls. We get the transcript. The transcript then comes back to us, right? We're housed on Azure. Otto is then taking our big giant system prompt that we have. We're taking the prompting for each question. We're taking how you want things scored. We're telling it what output we want. We're attaching that full chat transcript. We do a lot of work on the chat transcript too, right? To give specific timings in the transcript so that we can do things like silence and hold time, and be able to kind of differentiate between those two for your scoring. These then go out to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And as you can see, all 4 of those calls are already done. And then this is what they look like when they come back. So let's pull this port. Let's do this mop. So this is what we're getting. It took us 10 seconds to get the transcript. It took us 30 seconds or 29 seconds to actually do the actual scoring. Right now, this was a 28-minute call. So you can see even a 28-minute call takes 30 seconds. Right? If you're less, I've seen things where we're getting the transcript within 3 seconds and it's scoring it within 10 to 15 seconds. Right? So we can look at all the things now that we're getting back, right? We give you the score of the call. We have this is not voice yet, right? The technology is not there for voice, hopefully soon, like in the next couple months, but we have a giant system prompt, or in our system prompt, we have sentiment scoring. Right. So we're looking and we're listening for agent sentiment, customer sentiment. We're giving you 4 things that the agent did well on the call, 4 areas where they could have improved on the call. Right. None of that is hard coded into this. This is all based on your form and based on how it was scored. Right. Everyone is paying extra for auto summarization. Every CCAS is charging like 8, 9, 10 cents for auto summarization. We give you a full call summary. Again, this is just a test, so we have it very narrow. We can make this as robust or as big as you would like. We can also do things like build a library for you if you have specific, if you're a pharmaceutical company and you have, specific names that are healthcare related that AI probably won't pick up. We can make sure that it does do that. And then if you look, we're scoring calls. Just like your form, I want to say at home, just like your form at work, right? That your agents would do if you're using Excel, if you're using a Google Sheet, if you're using a Google form. right? We want to make this as simple and clean as humanly possible, right? So again, we looked at that question on the form. Was the agent ready at the beginning of a call? Yes. If you want to know why, if you click on the question mark, we call it the rationale, right? You can actually tell, Otto will tell you why it scored it like it did. So again, this helps with you starting to be able to trust the score. This also helps us with any type of calibration. I want to talk about this for a quick second. We can make these as again, as I use the word robust, but as data intensive as you would like. We have certain customers that say, hey, Tom, you have to actually pull the piece of the transcript up where the customer said this, the agent said this, and we can put that in here so that that data is there for you as well. We also, Otto will also know things like, because this was a cross sell, or this was a sales call, right? We didn't offer this certain product, right? Otto knows that and will NA it. Same thing like if we have a retention call and there's a sales question, it will NA it. So Otto knows when to NA things. It knows when to score it, right? So we have this full form that should match exactly what you're doing now, so that no one's confused. Nobody has to kind of change how they're doing things. It should look just like your form that you're doing in your office, right? We can download these. We can print these, right? All these evaluations, you can do whatever you'd like with. There's also a data download that I'll show you at the end here. One of the things that I think we're not an analytics company, right? We're not going to give you a ton of different things. What we're going to do is, I believe, is score calls better than anyone out there. I've seen people saying, if we're at 85%, we're good. We're trying to get, before we even do a proof of concept, 94 to 96%, right? Fully calibrated. We don't say right or wrong when we're calibrating as well. When we're looking through these scores, right, we want to score this like your internal team does. Right? There's certain questions that Otto's going to be really black and white on. There's certain questions that your team is going to be, well, we kind of lean towards the agent on this one. It's kind of gray. We can prompt for that, right? We can change that. We don't just set things up and say, this is kind of how the call went. Sorry. No, we tweak this. We massage it so that we're exactly what doing your scoring, right? So how your team scores is how we want to score. So let me show you some of the really cool things too that we're then pulling from this. First thing is we do have an employee portal, right? So all of the employees are able to log in. They're able to see their overall trending scores. They're able to look up any of their evaluations if they like, and they can pull them up. They can look at them. The other thing, right? Look at the specific call types, right? So we can say, hey, on retention calls, Allison here maybe needs a little bit more education, or maybe we have to just take her off. Let's put her in a skill for just these sales calls because she's doing 10 or 11 points better, right? So to give you some of that kind of data, but I think this is where it kind of gets cool, right? So let me just I'll pull a little bit more info. So let's go back a couple months to pull in some more about evals. Okay, so now, again, I use this for demos. That's why you see it all kind of herky-jerky, right? But this is the overall trend of your contact center, right? By date, we can sort this by team. I'm going to show you how we do by teams, right? You can sort it by QA agent or by supervisor. You can sort it by agent, right? So we look down. We can, show the top performing agents, your lowest performing agents. You can pull this down and you can kind of see everybody. Like if I had 50 people, all 50 will kind of show up here, right? So all of your agents, when you're looking at the overall, will all be here so that your supervisors, your admins can see this kind of overall arching view of everybody. We looked at the specific call types, right? So this is kind of how your contact center is doing overall on specific call types. Again, we got to do some work on our retains, right? But we're doing a very good job on these verification calls. And something that I think now is extremely cool, right? And again, we're trying to think through what is the data aspect that we can do that's very easy, that's going to 10 to 20x anybody using Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets that we can give you instantly. And I think scoring the form on the macro is one of these, right? So we take the form that we did, and again, this is your overall contact center, and we look at each specific question and then the percentage of how they were scored, right? So to look at things like, did the agent, and again, remember, this is all dummy data. So it's going to be a little off, but I think it proves the point, right? Did the agent thank the customer for calling? If you see 46.5% of the time it's no, right, you probably have an issue, right, with something in your contact center, at least at the early part of the call, right? So you can use this for sales aspects, for any retention that maybe somebody's not doing, if they're not doing any cross-sell, upsell, to get the snapshot of what is happening in your contact center by the questions and what we're listening for. I want to take a second here too to kind of go deeper into this. We're really good at agent behaviors. But again, I said we're not an analytics company, but I think one of the cool things is we're pulling some analytic type data, right? So not only when a customer comes to me, he's like, hey, Tom, here's our form. I'm like, this is great. Let's build out your form. Let me ask you this though. What are the other marketing? What are the other operations? What are the other types of questions that you want? Do you want to know retention questions? Why a customer's canceling? At the end of the day, all AutoQA platforms are doing is we're asking questions of data, right? So it doesn't matter what data. Our data source is just a transcript. So, we have a customer, which I think is an unbelievably awesome use case. They're actually our longest customer that we've had. I'm not saying that they don't care about their agent, but for Otto's sake, they're not using it for agent behavior. They're just using it for their cancel. So the first question of their form is this a true cancel call? And if it's yes, then we listen for 8 or 9 reasons why somebody could be canceling. Let's just take one that says, can't afford it or just can't afford it. Then we look down at the can't afford, and there could be multiple things. Products too expensive. I lost my job. All of these other data points that you can't get just from a disposition from an agent that we can now listen for and we can score. You can pull all that data to give, if you're a BPO, to give your customer a ton of different insights. Analytics is great, but keyword bubbles and trends are one thing, but to almost get AI disposition data, right, is a whole nother level of how cool this thing could be, right? And the amount of information and the amount of data that you can utilize extremely easy at the click of a button. And again, remember, if you're using Excel spreadsheets, Google Sheets, you don't have any of this data. You just have an Excel form. Right? You can't pull this data off. And we're doing this it's going to be less expensive than what you're doing using Excel, right? So again, I think it's a no-brainer, especially for the smaller contact center, using kind of just the basic tools. Some of the things that we have now implemented, right? We have teams, right? So you can set up, if you're a BPO, or you're an internal team, you have 500 agents and you have, I don't know, let's say 15 customer or 15 supervisors. You can set everybody up in their own teams, right? So we can take, let's just say these 3 agents, just to show you, are a team, right? We can add them to a team. And now, right, when I create them, I'm not going to do that because I got a couple dummy teams here. We can then sort by team, right? So all of the data here will just be set to that team. So now you have a supervisor doesn't care about the overall 500 agents. The call center manager does. The C-level maybe does. But now we can look at just their agents, right, from their team, those 16, if you're at a 16 to 1 or 12 to 1, whatever that ratio is you have, you can just have that and be like, okay, these are the ones I want to drill down on. And the same thing will happen down here, right, with their actual form, right? So you'll be able to see the kind of difference. Again, did the agent thank the customer for calling on my team, right? 30% of them are no, right? Where the overall was 46%. So we're doing a little better, but it's still not good probably, right? So I think that's really cool. Again, that's from a customer to do this thing and to break the deal by teams. And then again, the employee section too, they're just able to see the evaluations of their team, so which allows them to kind of really pinpoint to that. Okay, so we have pre-built integrations now, right, with some of the major CCaaS players. I want to just kind of show you how this would work. And it's pretty basic. You set up a connection, right? So this is like our test one for CXone. All we need is your API key and your API secret. This goes in, it gets fully encrypted. We don't put it in. You guys put it in, you just copy and paste it. Now we have connectivity, right, to your CCaaS. And the reason why that is cool is we can then set up plans. So we can look and say, hey, we want to get 100 evaluations every day at 7 a.m., right? Or 8 p.m. or whatever time you want. So all we would do here is set our frequency for daily, right? We have whatever time we want. This is set right now. I know that's at 7 a.m. That's for 8 p.m. So every day at 8 p.m., right? Our form that we used, we're going to do 100 evaluations, and we're going to choose it from that skill, right? And we're going to use, if we want to do a team, we can do a team ID as well. And then your minimum duration for calls. And then you just set this and we just say QA just happens then, right? So every single day at 8 o'clock, we have an algorithm that's going to look at the day before right now and just pull 100 calls and evaluate them. So when you come in the morning, you have your 100 or 200 or 500 or 50 or 10 or whatever you want to do. You have them in your evaluation form. Your dashboard's filled out. You can then go look. Each supervisor can check out their evals. They can do any coaching that they want. So we have the quote unquote manual aspect. If you want to do, specific agents, and again, you can upload up to 50. I think the most we've done is about 115 calls at once using that kind of manual thing of just copy and pasting. But for this, again, from the, looking at a 5.9, a Genesys, or a CXone, that's kind of where we're at now from an integration standpoint. You can just set it, and then kind of forget it, and then all your evaluations kind of roll through. The other thing that we have is kind of our pre-built reports. So this data download, all that is going to do is we have customers that have, a Tableau, some type of BI tool, so they can export all of their data, right, for every single form and every single column, just the entire deal of all their scoring, and then put that into a BI tool if they want some type of really advanced reporting. The other thing that we have too as well as scorecards, right? So you can take a form, you can look at a specific agent. Let's do Allison here again, and we can look at her for weekly. Let's do the previous month, and we can run those. So now every week, we had on the week of 8/25, 8/18, 8/11, we ran 9 evaluations on Allison. This was her average, right? So then we have some of these, we have a lot of companies, right, that want to score their agents, and they want to incent their agents off their QA, right? So this is just kind of an easy way to summarize this, an easy way to then be able to export this, put this into, and if they have an HR tool or whatever that kind of HR CRM that they have, all of this is available now. I'm kind of just out of the box as well. The one thing I missed that I have here in my notes that I want to go through is I want to take a second to go back to the form. And I think this is a differentiator for us in being a contact center over somebody who just is a tech, a tech company that's trying to do a really cool tool. I just have the new book, right? False Hustle, where I talk a lot about, AI is coming. AI is here for a lot of us. What do we do now with our agents? Like, what is this next aspect of the agent? And I think the cool thing about an auto QA tool, and this is any auto QA, this isn't just our tool. The cool thing, if you want to really go deeper into this, is we now don't have to just look at process, right? We don't just have to look at, did the agent say this word? Empathy is the example I always use. Everybody's form, when it comes to did the agent show empathy, when I see a rubric, it says, did the agent say, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, or something like that, right? That's not empathy. That's just checking a box, because that's all we can do as humans as when we're trying to score call after call after call. But now with Auto QA, it can think at scale, right? So we can do things like our prompt, our out of the box prompt for empathy says, hey, listen to the customer, listen to see if they express any type of pain point. Did the agent then respond in kind with something that either raised the sentiment of the call, had the tone of the customer go up in a good way, right? We can kind of see that by their word choices and kind of how they're navigating the call. Did the call end up in a better place? And Auto and AI can think that through and figure that out. So we don't just have to look at process now. We can look at outcome, right? And we can look at intent. And if is the intent of the agent to actually help the customer to raise that level, or are they just checking a box and saying those stupid words that we all have scripted in our deal, right? Looking at engagement. How many of you guys on your form for engagement have, I see this all the time, that the agent must say the customer's name 3 times within the first 2 minutes of the call. We call that engagement. Is it? Maybe because that was engagement before we had these type of tools. But now we can look at how is the interaction between the customer and the agent, right? We can look at true engagement. And I think, we have to, with tools like Otto, we can rethink the form, right? We can look at it at a different level. I get the question all the time, and 80% of every demo, Tom, will this improve our CSAT? Will this tool improve our NPS? Do you have any white papers on how this will improve? And the answer that I have is no, right? This tool allows you to then rethink how you want to educate your agents, because we can now train and educate agents on a whole different level, because we can score things at a different level at scale that human beings just could not do. So we are really proud of this. Let me go through here quickly as I kind of wrap up, I guess, this part of the demo. Some of the things from a roadmap standpoint that we are working on, that we will have out by the end of the year, is number one is this. On every single evaluation that we have the 4 things that the agent could improve on, right? We are going to take this, and every time that we get, depending on what the customer wants, between 50 or 100 evaluations, we're taking this, sending it out to a lower cost LOM, right? Because all we're doing is summarizing, and we're calling it a coaching trending report. So on the employee section for Allison, then we're going to have a box right here that has the coaching trending report. And we're going to say, hey, out of her last 100 calls, right, here's the 4 things that she continues to kind of struggle with, right? Maybe there's not 4, maybe there's 5, maybe there's 3, right? But here's the things that Allison, right, really needs to work on, or we need to help them with, right? So again, it's one thing to get all of this data, right? So the other thing is, how do we use all this data in kind of an easy to use format? That's coming out sooner than later. By the end of this year, we've been working on this for about 5 months. I can't wait for it. You guys have heard me talk a lot about it. But again, like on an evaluation, if you have an agent that bombs a call, and I did a big post on this yesterday on LinkedIn, right? So she has a 60.9. We're going to have a box right here called redo, right? And we're going to be able to click on that box. And we have found unbelievably awesome prompting where we kind of take what the agent said out of the transcript. We keep the customer's name, we keep their tone, we keep their problem, all the things that they said in the transcript, we send it out to an AI model, use right now 11 labs or any type of new voice that's coming out. And we allow the agent to then have a conversation again with that AI avatar of the customer that they just didn't do something with, right? They didn't show empathy. They didn't cross-sell. They didn't upsell. They had a bad greeting, right? So we're able to then redo those calls as kind of a full-scale kind of coaching, and then training. And then again, if you saw my post from yesterday too, we are going to have, it will be an add-on, but we'll have a button here for AI coaching. So again, not to take the place of a supervisor, but what we'll be able to do, and again, I think I showed it extremely well yesterday or 2 days ago. Check out my LinkedIn. There's a big post with a demo of it on there, at least the proof of concept that we use to kind of, I guess, sell my IT guys that we could do this. But if you have, let's say you have 500 agents, or you're at a 20-to-1 ratio, and you're a supervisor, and you're dealing with call-offs, and you're dealing with escalations, you're dealing with all this other stuff, and you have those agents that are like, hey, I scored us 80 on this. I don't know why. What could I do better? Or you could just be like, hey guys, go through your evaluation. And we basically have the AI avatar, right, of a supervisor that the agent can query off of that form, right? Hey, what could I have done better? Hey, I've been really working on my empathy. Is that getting any bit better? What are the 3 things that I struggled with, and how can I do that differently? Right. I tried the greeting. Oh, you're right. I forgot to use the full name. Why do I have to use the full name? Right. All those same questions that we can kind of ask a supervisor. Again, not to take the place of that human supervisor, but if there's some quick wins that we can get, especially if, again, a lot of us are slammed, right, with call, but then there's a lot of times when we have lulls. And when you have lulls, what do you want your agents to do? You want to read a book, or do you want them to have something that I think is a little bit fun, a little bit proactive, that they can go in, have conversations with AI and talk about their performance, talk about how they could do things a little bit better, a little bit differently. So I'm excited for that stuff as well. I think that, that's a really cool aspect of kind of how we're building this out. Again, anything that goes into the platform is something that I want to use personally here at Expedia, right? Or a customer says, hey, this is a really good idea, right? We're not just building software to build out tools that are cool. I mean, I think they are cool, But we're trying to build out things, again, by call center people, for call center people, of how this could actually help our customers internally. If we find that it's a huge win, like everything that I've talked about here, then we say, okay, this thing works. This is awesome. I think the greater contact center community, this could really help a lot of people. Let's talk about pricing, right? No seat license, right? Which, I mean, everybody hates the seat license. No contracts if you don't want it, right? So everything we're doing is on a usage model. So if you want to do, the minimum is 500 evaluations a week or a month. I'm sorry, 500 evaluations a month, and it's cost like $700-800, right? And then we scale it way down, right? So our largest customer is doing about 600 evaluations a day, right? And of course, that evaluation, that cost per evaluation is much lower. If you go on the OttoQA.com/pricing, but just go on the OttoQA.com website, we have a full calculator there. So you can kind of play. Actually, I can probably bring it up. Let's do that. So again, on the pricing side, there's a calculator here, which I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. So you can enter like, hey, I want to do 1,500 forms a month, and then just calculate it and pull it down. And again, no contract if you don't want. If you do want a contract, we've had some clients to say we have to do a contract, right? So then we allow, basically a 10 and 20% savings if you'd like to do that from a contract as well. All right, let me give one more thing here too that I did forget, but I think getting back to this is we talk about calibration. We talk about how do I make sure that how the calls that we are scoring, that Otto is scoring, matches what you are scoring. So this is kind of how this whole thing works is we take a demo like we're doing right now. You say, Tom, this is great. We want to kind of work this through. We charge a $500 setup now. That takes you through full calibration. That takes you through a full proof of concept. We give you 200 calls to score. We build out your entire form. You really don't have to do anything except maybe help us answer some questions. Once we get we get the NDA signed, you send us 10 calls that are scored. So the calls, the scoring sheet, however you have it, PDF, Excel, don't care. Give us how you score, and then give us kind of your rubric or all the info on how you score. If you don't have that, we'll work on that with you, right? We have a lot of smaller contact centers that this is the first form they've ever done, right? So we're more than happy to kind of work that through. And then what we do is this, which I think is pretty cool. We take on a Google sheet, and we're updating this as we go. These are all the questions on the customer's form, right? This top row. This is how the client scored their calls. We put that into the spreadsheet. And now this is how Otto scored all of the calls after we're calibrated, right? So we look at this. If anything is red, you don't see any red because this is a final calibration. If anything's red, we think that the customer was, quote unquote, more right than Otto. We have to do some tweaking to the prompt. Anything that's blue, right? That's where the customer has agreed that Otto was actually more correct than what they had on their form. So people talk about 85%. We're not even allowing you to go to a proof of concept until you're well over 90%, right? We want to get you to, at least by the end, about 95% calibrated with how you guys are scoring calls. So this is the sheet that we look at. Like, this is how you guys are scoring. This is how we're scoring. Everything matches. This looks great. Now we move to a proof of concept. So now we upload all your agents to the platform. We kind of set everything up for you. We allow you then to run 100 to 200 calls, depending on the size, and then allow you to kind of take that week to look and calibrate to see, yes, I really trust this. And then we kind of roll from there to see, yeah, hey, let's move this out to a plan and let's scale this. So that's kind of the process too. It's about a 2.5 to 3 week process from the time that we do the demo to the time that you're done with your proof of concept. Again, we are not using, this is very hands-on to build out the prompts. This is very hands-on to make sure that we are fully calibrated, that you're scoring, you're feeling really comfortable with the scoring, that your team feels very comfortable with the scoring, and then we can, hopefully kind of roll out from there. So I think I covered everything. No one in this room is yelling at me right now. They're sitting over here. Teams, company settings, plans, forms, evaluations, analyze the dashboard. Any questions, anything? If you don't want to post it here, totally fine. You can hit me up, DM me on LinkedIn for any type of question. Whoops. Sorry about that. Told you I was going to screw something up. But again, we're pretty proud of it. I think it's been a tool that it's not hard to use, right? And again, while we have been playing a little bit in the enterprise space, I think our ideal customer profile is probably 1,000 seats and under, 500 seats and under, even getting into 50 seats and under, right? The smaller type contact center. If you're using Excel or using a Google Sheet, this is a no-brainer of no-brainers. The cost is extremely. You're going to be able to either move or do some things internally because the cost structure of this will allow you to save a ton of money. Just because we're not charging that $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $1,000 setup, we want ROI the first month for you, and we're going to work to kind of make that happen. So again, if you'd like to see a personal demo, I'd like to take you through it. Just kind of head over. I probably should have a call to action here, but if you head over to the OttoQA site, you can set up something with me on Calendly. I do all the demos, right? We have a full team that's doing all the prompting with me to set up all the forms. But from the sales side, I like to meet everybody right now, and we'll talk through how your form is. Do we need to work the form? Do we need to make it better? Do you love it? And then again, from there, we can start to build some stuff out. So again, I appreciate all the kind of the shout outs here in the comments. Greg, thanks, man. I really do appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing as well. It's cool too. I know that there's a bunch of, I don't want to say competitors. I don't know. I guess we have competitors, but it's cool to kind of see that too. Like maybe we're actually doing something. There's a couple here on the demo. But I think, we found a little bit of a niche with what we're doing, and I hope, hopefully you guys like it as well. So again, no more questions or anything, hit me up. Yeah, Greg, I agree. We're trying to, I think, all help each other. Most of the AutoQA guys, gals, companies, we've had multiple conversations trying to say, hey, does this work for you? Does that work for you? The Balto team is again, I don't want to offend anybody if you guys are, competitors with them. We've had a really good relationship of helping each other too. And I think we're all kind of playing in different aspects of kind of this, right? We're trying to help. We can help the enterprise guy, but we're really trying to help that technology lane. They don't have that real core technology piece that they've been left out of the AI world, right? So we're trying to at least get the smaller guy, right, and the ability to kind of have that ROI right from the door and have the ability without a seat license, without a huge upfront cost. That's kind of, I think, a little bit of our value add with some of the tools we have. All right, I'm rambling. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. Everybody, we had nobody left the demo, right? So we peaked and we kind of stayed there. So hopefully this was good. Any questions or anything, hit me up on LinkedIn. If you want to see a demo, just hit the AutoQA site. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming.